1340 KVGC on the phone with us, Douglas Viviani. He is half of the co-hosting team of Viviani and Cohen. It's Everything Old is New Again. You didn't think you were part of a team, did you?
I didn't think so, and also that sounds like a law firm. I just got a chill run up my spine. I split my profits with Dave on the law firm now as well.
Anyway, Everything Old is New Again every Saturday night, and soon Saturday and Sunday nights at 6 o'clock here on 1340 KVGC. Starting next Sunday night, you can listen to Everything Old is New Again both Saturday and Sunday nights at 6 o'clock.
Perfect.
Well, did you get any sleep?
Well, I'll tell you, I did. I was able to sleep. I got about 5 hours of sleep, I'll say, with the celebration here in New York of the Mets getting their revenge over the Dodgers from 1988 when they defeated the Dodgers, if you go that far back, and further from them actually moving from New York in 57. We defeated the Dodgers, and it was a joy to watch them skulk on their way out of the stadium and celebrate in L.A. and have some fans. I don't know if you saw the manager high-fiving the fans. I never saw that before. And so it was a great victory. Had a lot of fun.
Yeah, he went over to the stands. I don't know if that was his family or not, but there were some guys there. They were hugging him. One of them kissed him, and he was shaking hands with them.
They say New Yorkers are a tough breed, huh?
Is he a nice, likable guy? I mean, do Mets fans like him? I don't know much about him.
Mets fans do not like him until this year. He is a nice guy, and that's the problem in New York. We like Billy Martin and the feisty, Yogi Berra with his sayings, and whoever it might be that has some personality. He was more or less received as a stopgap, one of these guys that would be the manager while his team rebuilds, because they're really not so good when they started. And when we finally get a decent team, we'll get a decent manager. And I don't mean to say that in a derogatory way, because I'm glad now that he's had the opportunity to do what he's doing here, because nice guys don't always finish last. The team loves him. Teams have always played for him, even the bad teams. And so, he's piloting a nice ship here. Let's hope they win 8 more games and therefore win the whole thing. But even if not, it's a nice turn for this gentleman. He's a good guy.
Unfortunately, there are only baseball fans west of the Rockies will be watching any baseball over the next few days. I mean, honestly, let's be honest, I mean,
that's the thing about baseball. We spoke about that previously. Back in the day, what was it like? I don't know, when there was a Subway Series in New York, did the West Coast watch or listen on the radio back in the day? I think they did. I think now we're a little more regional with baseball. In certain areas, it's very popular, and if your team is in, of course, you're going to be involved. But I remember watching World Series of all the different teams. It didn't matter who was in it, and I guess we talk about the playoffs, but still, I used to have the playoffs during the day, and the World Series was during the day, on the weekends at least. That was great for us growing up. But I think that's part of the problem with baseball is these games are at night, and my kids can't watch these games. It's too late. So how do you get involved with it if you're not able to watch it?
I shared with you off the air. I can remember in school, the teacher. During the World Series, if the World Series was played during the day, be usually an afternoon game or whatever, we would get the TV. They'd wheel the TV in and would watch the World. I don't know if that was just the teacher's choice or if that was part of the curriculum, but we watched it.
Any excuse, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But I think we the same thing happened. I remember distinctly in '73 that happening. And then there was that time where you were on the bus on the way home, and the game was still happening. So you had the old, this is not going dating ourselves, right? The old transistor radio in your hand, and you would listen to it on the way home. One kid would have it and announce on the bus what's happening, play by play, and then you'd rush home, and hopefully you didn't forget your key, or mom was home, and you got in there and turned the TV on and just enjoyed the sport that way. That's why it was so terrific. It's again, back to it. The nighttime, I think, really destroys the game in that or is one of the things that destroys it in that kids cannot enjoy it as much. Although the next series, I think this Thursday, there is a day game, so that's something. So we'll see what happens.
Well, I'm pulling for the Mets from here on out. So the Mets.
That's what I like to see. I wonder what the KVGC area is going to going to all do that. You said there were 2 Dodger fans in residence there, right?
Yeah.
So the town's not too upset, which is good to hear. What else do you do? Now you turn your attention, I guess, to high school football and NFL and NBA. Is that where we are?
Yeah, probably. I mean, I would say our attention, the station's attention is to high school football and getting ready, talking about basketball, which will start in December. But, I mean, most people, hey, I shouldn't say we've given up on the 49ers, but not a good year for them. Raiders, never a good year for them. So my wife has decided she's going to root for Green Bay from now on. That's going to be her team, at least this year. And I was for the Falcons until they lost last night, so now I have to find another teams.
You know what it is with football? I have a theory. There's 2 things that keep football popular. Number one, it's a great game on television. It works itself out beautifully. You know when it's going to end, and you could be right in there with the plays. And number 2, all the betting that goes on. People love to bet on this. And I'm picking up Angelica, my 6-year-old from school the other day, and I'm talking to her. There's a mom wearing a jersey, and she's looking at her picks and who she's going to pick. And you don't kind of need to know too much, although you do learn it as you go. Having a stake in the game, even to just $5, lends itself to following that sport. If there was none of that, I don't know how popular it would be. Although, talking about following a team that's not so great, when the Giants and the Jets are never really that great, and when the Giants aren't great, you still go for the day and the barbecue and then all the, couple of drinks, and you have your friends. And it's almost like the game gets in the way of this tremendous barbecue out in the parking lots.
Well,
I think it lends a lot to it. Enjoy the barbecue, and then by the way, there's a game. All right, we'll go and we'll take a look and have a beer, and then be on our way.
For example, last night, we're kind of a baseball, football family. Those are our 2 sports. And now Joey's starting to play rugby in college. So we're trying to learn we're going to our first rugby match on Saturday, tomorrow, actually. But, so we have no skin in the game. We don't like the Dodgers, so we're rooting against the Dodgers. Mets, we root for them once a year when they're playing the Dodgers. So we have no skin in the game there. On the football, we've got 2 teams. We've got, New Orleans, and we have Atlanta. No skin in the game there. They're not any of our favorite teams. But we'd rather watch the football game than watch the baseball game.
Right, see that?
And I just think it's the speed of the game. It's the way it's produced. Football is a produced entity. It's with the sky cams and the field cam, they have the cam on the pylon, so you can see that if it's an actual touchdown or not.
Yeah, it lends itself to. This may sound condescending. It doesn't mean to be, but there's not a lot of thought going on. Either they're going to pass it or they're going to run with it. You're just guessing 50-50 if you're a neophyte. You don't follow the game so much. You still can have fun just kind of figuring that side of it out and watching the pile-ups and all that. It's not too intellectual, is that fair to say? But it makes it fun to be able to just watch and enjoy it without having to, baseball, you've got a lot of stuff going on, a lot of strategy. And, our world has changed. People want to see stuff now. Baseball games on, you're kind of going to multitask, I think, don't you think? There's so much going on. You can't just sit and watch it. Even me, I'm a great fan of the game, but I haven't sat and watched a game in maybe 10 years unless I'm at the stadium. From start to finish, just sitting in front of the TV. It just doesn't happen.
I mean, think about it. Think how things have changed. When we were growing up, we wanted to, at least in my generation, we had to get to the moon. We were going to we were going to get to the moon. Now, like you say, Angelica, Leo, their generation, we're going to go to Mars. We're going to go to Mars.
Exactly.
So.
I just saw the Martian movie.
Oh, okay.
It's not called The Martian movie, but Martian with Matt Damon, and I finally got out to a movie to see an adult movie, and I say that in quotes, It's a movie that doesn't have animation in it for the first time in a long time, and as I usually bring the kids, and it was really well done. It's interesting. It brings back memories of Neil Armstrong, the first man on the moon, and one giant. What is it? One small step for man, one giant step for
one
mankind,
giant leap for mankind.
That saying.
Yeah,
and I just was so enthralled back in the day of a man on the moon. I could not believe that was happening. It was absolutely amazing to see the photographs, the pictures, And now these days, I'm not sure anybody, maybe this movie will bring it back a little bit, but there's not a lot of interest in the space program. We haven't done a ton of stuff. There's some talk of sending some men to the moon. There's been interesting findings of water and possible life on Mars. And Matt Damon really does a nice job on this movie. They do some science things, so it's a little smidge educational as well as to how you would survive. Since we've all seen Survivor on TV, and at least in the first couple of seasons, right? And how difficult it could be on Earth. Can you imagine what it would be on Mars to find some food and all? So I think that's a lot of fun, but that plays right into everything old is new again, where we're thinking about not movies number one. We're thinking about space again and space travel realistically, and we've got the robots on Mars. So I don't know. Do you remember that moon? You have to remember that moon landing, right?
Oh yeah, it was. I can remember it. I remember it plain as day. It was a Monday evening. It was summer, and I just got a new puppy, a new Weimaraner puppy, and I was outside playing with her. And then I remember my dad calling me, going, "Hey, they're getting ready," and they'd already landed on the moon, but they were getting ready to. He was getting ready to come out.
Right.
Neil Armstrong was getting ready to come out.
The difference, because it's 3 hours difference. It was July 21, 1969. I had that. I don't know. It was 10 days after my birthday. Birthday's July 11th, and the end of that tumultuous year and decade of the 60s. And there was this crowning achievement. We all, we actually were woken up. We were little kids. We were woken up. Come on in and watch this. It was black and white, a little grainy, but it was hard to believe that you weren't watching a movie, that this was actual reality. I don't know that Leo and it was my 3-year-old and Angelica, my 6, or any other kids growing up now even anticipate or even have seen the films of that, because it's black and white, and who wants to see that? And God forbid, right? And you've got all these movies with everything going on. It's not too much action there. So I don't know when it settles in, or if it's going to settle in for this new generation of what we actually achieved. I mean, that was just an amazing achievement in 8 years when Kennedy made the announcement, or 9 years later, to actually land on the moon. We didn't even have. There wasn't even the invention of a computer before he announced that.
Right. Right.
So the advance in technology and what we did as a culture to pull together and land on the moon. I guess that was part of it also. The whole country was behind it. It was just so invigorating. It was a fun time.
There's more computing power in your cell phone now than there was in the lunar lander and the command module put together.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that's
unbelievable. That's if you watch Apollo 13 with Tom Hanks, you see them clicking all these buttons and everything. That's all right. You're right. All that would have been done by a smartphone in a matter of seconds.
Oh yeah. So, I mean they're using slide rules and all that. Seriously, who even knows how to use a slide rule? Or if you brought a slide rule out and showed it, probably I don't even think JD, who's 33, I don't even know if he would know what a slide rule is.
And your life depends upon using this thing and getting the calculations right. I mean, real significant calculations. I can't get Angelica to do a homework before dinner in less than 35 minutes. These guys had to do advanced calculations with a slide rule in a minute's time. I mean, they really were amazing.
Yeah.
What if that happened now and there was no power on the ship going to Mars? Would we be able to have these astronauts do anything without a computer now? Think about it. Could they do the math off the top of their head? I don't know.
They would have to get Tommy Lee Jones. I'm trying to remember I remember the movie where the guys had to go to Space Cowboys. Remember that movie?
Oh yes, absolutely. Get the old timers in.
Clint Eastwood. James Gardner and Donald Sutherland. Right, they have to get them together and figure it out. So, hey, Douglas, we are almost out of time here.
Yep.
Let's touch briefly. What's this week's show about?
This week, there's so many movies, so little time. Rather than observe movies which are old, it's become part of our pop culture. Let's going to take a last look at movies that you have not seen, great movies that I don't believe you've seen, and we're going to look at movies with meaning. Movies like maybe Judgment at Nuremberg. These didn't make it. I'm not going to ruin it for you, but a movie like that where has some significance. If you haven't seen it, take a look. It's an educational and I'm not going to say fun, but a very extraordinarily well acted and directed and written movie about World War II. How did the Nazis come about and what happened as a result. It could ever happen again. I don't know if you have any movies in your mind off the top of your head like that, but that's what we're going to be going for.
All right. Everything Old is New again, Saturday night, 6 o'clock, right here on 1340 KVGC, and again starting next Sunday evening. Douglas and Dave will be coming to you on Sunday nights as well. Douglas Viviani, go Mets!
That's good. You got to believe.
Take care.